Good evening. Welcome back to Wednesday night's Coronacast, for want of a better title. It's our live information advice, support and recommendations YouTube channel, hosted by Dan here in the South Costa Blanca, along with our local correspondent Frankie and national British Northern European correspondent Paul D. Nichols, who I'm sorry to announce is absent due to illness today, but not a COVID-19 related outbreak in his ward. Thank God. Well, anyway, we are going to be welcoming Frankie onto our virtual stage soon. And as I've entitled this broadcast, we're looking at a quite historical day in which COVID-19 has officially been classed a pandemic, an international epidemic, and we've seen the full ferocity of this new strain of flu, in the old European country of Italy, where he is now. So there's our subject for tonight, and here's Frank calling live from the old Wales, Spain. So, Frank. Oh, achoo. Bless you. Are you live with us? Are you suffering from are you suffering from the same malady as Paul D. Nichols in Rochdale?
No, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Well, you wouldn't say. He was keeping those cards very close to his chest, being that we are a health information service.
Maybe have some kind of there's hay fever starting soon. Hay fever's on the way. It's here already.
In North Lancashire. Oh, we don't have much hay around there. They have moors and stuff.
Right. Well, there might be something for MERS.
It tends to be the people there. They suffer from eating bad curries generally. A bad balti. That tends to be what afflicts them. They get lots of floods too. They do get forest fires up on the moors. Strange to think of it. You think of these.
You should always stick to the road, never cross the moors. That's what they used to say.
Yeah, you might meet a werewolf.
That's
an American werewolf in Rochdale. If there's a bad moon rising.
Yeah. I see bad moon rising.
Yeah. So Frank is our resident singer-songwriter. He's composed a coronavirus charity song to draw the world's attention to the danger of this new flu. I thought we might end the show with a rendition this evening, but you'll find all such videos on our channel, which you will be checking out as we speak if you're following us this evening, and some more on the Frankie and Danny show, our Orihuela Costa information and entertainment channel, which we will be promoting further. Probably, Frankie.
And may I add, lots more to come as well.
Lots more to come, but probably more Frankie and Danny when the great pandemic has calmed down. Yeah.
Well, We have, and I'm sad to say this tonight, but I'm going to say it on air tonight. But I think you know, Dan. But
Yep.
the World Health Organization has announced pandemic tonight.
Official status. We anticipated it, but it's official.
Yeah, and it was my worst fears came true tonight, but we just have to face it.
Yeah, this is obviously an Irishman speaker here, Frankie, but you've got very, very few cases in Ireland, haven't you? In the Republic.
That's right. That's correct at the moment. The problem is that it's such a small country that and that all the towns and cities are all so close together, it could easily spread if it did get a grip of it.
That's right. That's right. Small territory. Quite concentrated in the cities.
Yeah, it is. That's correct. And that's why we had to cancel St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, because it's the kind of place where people move around a lot, isn't it, really, to visit friends and family. And, you know, you might get folk from Dublin going down to Cork or Galway, I guess. And but fortunately, our Service of Ireland, you know, you've got the famous cities of the Republic of Ireland. But there's not a centralised outbreak like we've seen in Spain, sadly, where we've had an incredible spike in cases, haven't we, in España?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely remarkable. We've now got 2,152 in Spain. Now, we of course are very remote from the capital, but there we are, half of the cases, 1,024 in Madrid, 31 fatalities in the Spanish capital. Where the others are, I have no idea. Quite a few I heard in the northwest, which is the Basque region, Asturias, and around there. But not so much down here.
I'm going to try to get a bit of detail where somebody. 1 second, Dan. I'm going to try to get a bit of detail where somebody's around the country for you.
I'm reading off the website that a few senior Spanish politicians have gone down with COVID. The Speaker of Congress, in that American style, like Nancy Pelosi, Anna Pastor, she has it now. Several cases in their parliament or, you know, legislature suggest that they might stop meeting. This has been suggested of the UK too, but so far we've just got one case. We've got the famous Nadine Dorries from I'm a Celebrity. Get me out of here in the Australian jungle. She's a lady who's 62, a kind of sort of Tory Euro skeptic, Euro loon I call them, and she's a former nurse, but she's been treating herself apparently in isolation, and her Labour equivalent, who was meeting with her apparently last week and is a bit worried about the infection too, so she's isolated. But no one else as such. You're still looking there, Frankie, because I was just about to say that we've been very lucky in the UK and Ireland. We've been very lucky, and our island status is really working for us. Yeah, and I say that with
and I hope our board, our government, keep control of it there and keep it away, because it's terrible. And I would like to say that the Spanish government are doing all they can, but it's hard to keep it from spreading at the moment. You know, that's the problem.
It's not working, is it? Yeah. What's happened in the UK is that we've done very little at all. All we've done is tell people, all the government and their scientific advisors, is tell people to wash their hands and to stay at home. There's been no official closures of, say, cinemas. They've been closed today in Saudi Arabia. Schools have been closed all over France. Half of Italy has been isolated and quarantined, of course. They've had an absolute catastrophe there. But in England, we've done nothing at all officially apart from give advice.
The Cheltenham Festival, I don't know if that was a good idea, to be honest.
Well, let's go ahead, mate, because we've had 10 deaths now, sadly, in the UK, which pushes the fatality rate up quite high, towards 3% now, because we have relatively few cases. We have, well, that said, we've shot up to, I am fibbing a bit there. We've shot up to about 456 now. So again, we've doubled in about 5 days.
I'm just going to add in, if I may, the numbers in Spain as we stand tonight now, at this time now, are 2,222 cases. There's 54 deaths in Spain, 54 people dead in Spain with this tonight.
Yep.
And 183 have recovered.
Okay. Well, it's nice those people have recovered, but 2,000. There is almost another 2,000 who still have the infection there. So we will wait and see. And of course for mortality, yes. What would it, in frankly, what is it in Spain in Italy? Game the number of deaths?
Yeah, the number of deaths as it stands at the moment is 54.
Italy, buddy. Have you got Italy up there? I think
in Italy, okay. In Italy, just 1 second. I'll just tell you now. 1 second. I'll just get the stats up now for this.
I think it's about 500.
I'd like to just say tonight that Italy, as it stands at the moment, just at this time now, is 12,462 cases.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you the total. 1 second. Let's see. In Italy, the total deaths in Italy as it stands tonight is 827.
Yeah, and that is up. That was up nearly 200 overnight. So they are in peak epidemic now.
That's right.
Now the pandemic is not as important as the epidemic. We're still looking at epidemics in a handful of countries. Yeah, it's still about national governments doing their best to contain the individual epidemics, and the British government, who likes to sort of Brexit from everything, doing as little as possible and being lucky, I feel. But as I said, it's creeping up in the UK. We'll be up to 500 soon, and if we see in a week we've got 1,000, then we'll have known that we're 1 week behind, bud. We're 1 week behind in closing schools, train stations, hospitals, airports. We've done a lot of testing. But people are still flying home from Italy, from other parts of the world, and the government emphasis is still on voluntary, that's the word, the important word, voluntary self-isolation.
Yeah, one problem that they do see is that there's 13 cases in South Africa at the moment, and the problem with that is that there is 7 million people in South Africa that have HIV, and that could be a big problem.
Yeah.
Weakened immune systems.
Yeah.
So in South Africa, the government are very, very worried about that at the moment, because if that's splurges all over the country there, and these people that's all in the medication stuff, they could be open to this virus more than people that has standard immune systems, if you know what I mean.
Well, this is now we're looking at it's a very particular country, South Africa, isn't it? Because the HIV cases the vast majority are in the townships, in the poorest parts of society, and of course these are people who live in pretty poor conditions, and we could see a very, very particular kind of developing world epidemic taking place there. As you say, mixed in with the threat of AIDS. Of AIDS being provoked.
Yeah, well, that's right, because that's what I'm saying, that they're, as I said, they're just worried about that, because they have it really magnitudes the chances that they could catch it, because they already have. It's very easy when you have like HIV that you can catch like pneumonia as it is. So now with this virus,
isn't it? AIDS-related illnesses,
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's correct.
So obviously, there's individual challenges in each country. In Spain, I speak for the two of us. We're not Spanish speakers. We don't absorb a lot of Spanish media on TV. But as far as we know from the British media, it's mostly up in Madrid. We've been questioning the efficacy and the will of the Spanish authorities to do a great deal in terms of precautions and emergency measures, because frankly, this country is about tourism. It's about people, a steady flow of tourists from around Europe coming to enjoy the sun here, whether that be winter or beach holidays in the summer.